So we're live.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you for joining. Can I have a comment if you are here, please?
None of them is here.
Okay. So let's wait for a few moments. We
Okay,
can
I
have
think we
them
can
here.
start now. Start, Biba.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. So this is our first panel session for this webinar. Now, and I am looking forward to what our speakers has to say because this topic is very, very essential to everyone's parenting journey. And I want to believe that if not everybody here, a larger number of us here are parents, and of course, those of us that are not parents yet, we are going to be parents soon, sooner or later. So this first topic is parenting education, a pertinent need for the 21st century. We all know that intentional parenting is considered one of the very essential factors needed in shaping the 21st century due to a lot of lapses in the society, because the challenges arising from society today is in one way or the other as a result of unintentional parenting of our past parents. So how then do we cope these challenges? How do we stop these challenges, if not eradicate everything totally? Because of course, while some of us are here want to be intentional parenting, some of us do not want to be intentional parenting, or some of us don't even know what intentional parenting is. So alhamdulillah that we are here. Alhamdulillah that we have chosen to, want to be intentional about bringing up our kids, bringing up our jewels. So one of our speaker is here, Mrs. Ologolo. Welcome, ma'am. She is an educator, and then she's going to be one of the speakers that are going to take us on the journey of parental education in this 21st century. Welcome, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Please
I'm really
let's
pleased to be here.
same here, ma'am. I look forward to hearing what you have to tell us on parenting education. I can't wait to. Okay, we have Sister Shakira Olaokun here to you know she is our convener, she's our host, and then she's the face behind the brand TPP Parenting Academy. Welcome, ma'am. We are glad to have you here.
So I'm glad to be here too. I think I need to make a correction on my name. My name is
Oh,
Ulu.
sorry.
My name is just
Oloku, I'm
Ulu.
so sorry now.
Thank you very much for that.
While we await our other speakers, okay, I think we can go ahead with the first question. Is that it?
Mrs. Madina the Washer is there too. You did not call that. I can see her on the screen. Can't you see on your view
Okay.
screen?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. My apologies, ma'am.
No problem.
Now, assalamu alaikum,
Walaikum salam wa barakatuh.
ma'am.
Glad
How
to
are you
be
today?
here. Fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for heeding to our call and wanting to share, your knowledge with us. We appreciate you and we appreciate your presence. Mrs. Madina, she's a wife, a mom, and a passionate teacher and counselor. And she's an academic professional with over 8 years of experience teaching. So I am sure that today is going to be a wonderful experience for us all. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we have our last speaker here for today, Mrs. Afsa Karim Akinyele. Thank you so much for joining us, and you're welcome. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Walaikum salam wa barakatuh. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us. Mrs. Akinyele, he's a
You are
certified
welcome, and thank you
teacher
for having me
from
here.
Charles. Yes, now. Thank you so much. Sister Mrs. Hafsa Karim Akinyele is a professional teacher, and I'm sure that today is going to be a wonderful journey on parenting education in the 21st century. Why is it important, and some things that and some challenges that surrounds parenting education. Now, okay, so since we have all of our speakers here, I think it is the best time for us to move ahead. Now, so I would like to say that we have just 2 to 3 minutes to answer, to tell us more, or to give us an in-depth insight on each question that I asked because of time and all things. So my first question today is, what is your overall view about seeking parenting education, especially in the 21st century? I'm going to direct the question first to Mrs. Madina. Now.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that things are changing. More people are realizing that we can't parent from where our parents brought us up, and they are deliberately seeking for knowledge now to know, okay, how do I go about parenting, this parenting journey? In addition, the fact that we're still interacting with each other, I get to see these other parents, getting it right, and I'm not getting it right. So you are tempted, oh, what is it that I'm doing? What is it that you're doing that is different and all that? So things have really changed with 21st century parenting.
Okay, good. So things have really changed from then, and that is why it is needed for parents or upcoming parents to get education on how to be intentional parents now. Thank you, ma'am. So the question is I'm going to direct the same question to Mrs. Afsa. What is your view about parents in the 21st century seeking education on how to parent their children?
Okay. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Like we all know that parents play a vital role in the development of their children and in the upbringing of their children. So it is more effective for parents to take it's more effective for parents to learn how to parent effectively. Then parenting education is also very, very important because it enables a parent to have a deliberate, like you are going to be deliberate, you are going to be intentional about bringing up your child because of the resources you've gotten from learning about parenting. So it's going to make you deliberate and it's going to make you intentional. You will not just parent your child anyhow.
Okay, I got the point. So apart from the fact that things are changing, just like Mrs. Madina said, you said it is important that we learn things about things that surround parenting so that our actions, our inactions as people who have kids, as parents, are going to be intentional. We would just not do anything anyhow. We would know when to talk, we would know when not to talk, we would know when to beat, we would know when not to beat. Now, I'm just like, so Mrs. Shakira. Okay, I think she's not here with us now at the moment. Now, okay, so I'm going to direct this question to our last speaker, Mrs. Ologolo, right? Am I correct? I'm so sorry. Ma'am, can you hear me, ma'am? Assalamu alaikum.
I think our network.
Okay. But I can see her on the screen, but I think her network is not stable.
No, I think she's back.
Assalamu alaikum, ma'am.
She's back now.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
I think he has gone again.
Okay. Sister Shakira, are you here now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I can. My network.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Okay, alhamdulillah. So what can you add to the insights our speakers has given us about the overall view why parents should seek knowledge, should seek education on how to parent,
I
especially in the
think
21st century?
okay, Mr. Logola is there already. Would you ask her or should I go ahead?
Yes, please, you can go ahead.
Okay. Summary comes to everyone. So like everyone have said, there is a place for knowledge in everything that we venture into. And from the Islamic perspective, Allah has also commanded us that it is important that everything that we intend to start, we start from a place of knowledge, even from the place of understanding our essence and understanding our creator. Allah commanded us in Hadith Qudsi that what we should seek knowledge. How would you worship me if you don't know me? So how would you parent a child you don't even understand at all? How would you parent a child that you don't even understand their temperament that might be different from your own? How would you parent a child that you don't understand their developmental milestone? How would you know if a behavior is age appropriate? And I'll use myself as an example. While I was raising my own son some 6 years ago, he was still yet to master the art of sitting. Sitting is a milestone that is not a fixed age that you must sit. It can be between some children can sit as early as 5 months, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, and for some people it's later. Considering the fact that I did not really have that knowledge, and I was coming from a place of my own pain too, I was eating my child, a 7 months old, for not sitting yet. When I think about that now, I just ask myself, why was I doing that? Why? Because I lack what we call knowledge. Ordinarily, if I know that a child of this age, if my child is crying, is a normal behavior, I would not take it personally. But because I lack that knowledge of child developmental milestone, I could not respond to my child, my son, with empathy. Neither could I respond from a place of understanding. So for us to understand, to do better as parents, we must know that education is important. There's a place for education. We don't just assume that intuition alone can help us through the process. So I think for me personally, I think that's my own moment of realization that I needed to do something better about my parenting education skills and learning. So I think that parenting education is important because even as Muslims, we understand that Allah has commanded us that everything we're about to venture into, it is incumbent on us to seek the knowledge of that field. You are venturing into a business, you seek knowledge. You're trying to become, you want to call yourself that you're a doctor, you have to seek the knowledge first. So for you to say that you want to become a parent or you become a parent, just merely giving birth to a child does not automatically turn you into a parent. That's just a process. That's just a phase. You have to learn about nutrition. You have to learn about child psychology, child development. Even if not as if you are going to get certified. Of course, you can't get certified in everything, but you have to have the basic knowledge of what it takes to raise a child and all that entails raising an awesome child. So that's my view about why we need to take parenting education.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. I really got a lot from that. Thank you so, so much. So it's not enough to parent a child just by giving birth to the child. You need to learn a lot of things about how the child grows and why they grow, why they do this and why they do the other thing. Thank you so much. I think Mrs. Olagola is not here anymore. And
Majority of our speakers are not here again. I think perhaps it's the network.
yes,
Let's go ahead with the next question.
okay, yes,
Hopefully, they are
thank you
going
so
to
much.
join us again.
Now, so my next question is, at what point in life did you realize that you needed to up your parenting game with knowledge?
Okay. Okay. Can you please tell us? They are all backstage. I can see
Says
their
that
shadow
when your kid
backstage.
was a few months old. Okay, alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Okay, so at what point in life did you realize that you needed this education? How
Okay.
did you know now?
How's that? I realized that I needed parenting education when my son was around 7 to 8 months because I was constantly listening to people. You know, children at that age, they need to be mobile. They move around, they spoil things, scatter things. They're just being inquisitive, trying to learn around them because they learn by what? By being just mobile. So I was angry. We'll go to the kitchen, we'll cross to the kitchen, pour things together, add water to yam flour, add this to this, add this to that. and I will get really infuriated. I'll just smack him. Oh, Nipami, you not kill me. You not do this, you not do that. I don't know if Sister Khadija is here. Please let's.
Assalamu alaikum. I think we have a technical issue. Please do bear with us. There's a technical issue. We're going to sort it out soon.
Sister Khadija, can you please let other people in? Okay. She has done that already.
Alhamdulillah. Sorry for
Alhamdulillah.
that. No, alhamdulillah. We're sorry for that break in
Okay.
transmission. So I would like to just go through the question again for the second time. So the question is, at what point in your life did you realize that you needed to up your parenting game with knowledge?
Is that for me?
Yes, please, Sister Shakira, please, you can go ahead with that.
Like I was saying earlier on that I realized I needed to up my parenting game when my son was exhibiting age appropriate behaviors that I consider inappropriate, perhaps because of the way I was brought up or because of the way I see things, people do things around me. So people will tell me to eat him, you beat him, will stop doing that. A child will crawl, a toddler will just crawl to drink at his water, will take it out, pour it on the floor, and I'll get really infuriated and I'll beat him. Or I'll ask him not to touch a particular thing and he will touch it and I'll get really infuriated. Don't kill me. Don't wound me, and I'll beat him, I will hit him. And then people around me that were more experienced in parenting, that is, they have given birth to older children, will tell me that I should beat him. If you beat him, take his hand, beat him very well, we'll stop doing that. And I was doing it constantly and I was not seeing any change. That was when I realized that I needed to do something. And also, one of the things that also spurred me into learning that make it more easy for me to think that I needed to learn was when I beat my foster son for taking something in the fridge that I didn't ask him to take. I was really infuriated and I was thinking in my head, how what will people say? This child is not my child. They will say you are the one that trained him to be thief. I wasn't even looking at the child, and neither was I thinking about to help the child overcome that habit. I was only thinking about myself, and that's what happened to us as parents. When things happen, our children do things that we don't like. In the real essence, in the real sense, logically, we tell ourselves, "I'm doing it because of my child, because I want you to be good. I want you to be a great person in the future. That's why I'm beating you." When you look deeply, when you are sincere with yourself, you realize that you're only trying to protect your own image. So with my foster son, what was running in my head was, what will people say about me for raising a child to become a thief? So I was not helping the child. I would beat him. I would smack him. I would ask him to kneel down. That was around age 5. Was around age 5. That was when I gave birth to my own son too. So I had to, when I was beating him in a state of anger, I left a mark on his eyes, on this a very close place to his eyes. That was when I realized that I needed to do something about my anger, about my learning my emotion, learning to hold myself accountable for my emotion. And because I started doing that, that was when I just needed to do something. At that point, I realized that I needed to learn. I needed to do something about myself. I don't want to injure this child. I don't want to become a parent that is so toxic that will end up harming a child for the rest of their lives. So that was my own journey. That was when I realized that I needed to start learning.
Okay. Now, Jazakallah khair. Sister Hafsa, please, could you tell us at what point in time as a parent did you realize that you needed to up your game? You needed to up your knowledge, your parenting knowledge game in bringing up your children?
Okay. I have 3 children from ages of one and a half. It's going to be 2 very soon. to 5, a girl and 2 boys. The girl is very, very strong-willed. She's very strong-willed, and I don't know. I don't really know how to analyze her. Then the one in the middle is on the gentle part. I usually call him the girl, and I call the girl the boy. But the boy, it's going to be 4. When he turns 3, I noticed that when you ask him questions, he's always afraid to own up. He tells lies. And I'm like, how can a 3-year-old be telling lies? Then the other girl, if you scold her, in fact, she's ready to beat you back. She's ready to beat you back. If you beat her, she's ready to beat you back. She has beaten her teacher before that. Our proprietor had to call me. I got to the school that day, and I entered. I saw her crying. I was even afraid that what happened, and the proprietor told me, my daughter, this was what she did today. The teacher was scolding her, and she beat the teacher back. No, I was very embarrassed. Like, how did it get to this extent? Then you see that other little boy, that one can frustrate. He's going to cry. He's going to everything got into my head. And then one day I read a book. I was reading a book, and in that book I saw it's a parenting book actually, and I saw a question posed to parents that says that if you own a multi-billion organization, what will you do first? You would craft out missions, vision. You would know the objectives of why you are running that business. Then you're going to identify your strengths. You're going to identify your weakness. And it asks so many questions in that book. So why is it that we parent with should I say residual knowledge? Because the residual knowledge now is the knowledge of what your own parents did, how their own parenting journey, what you've unconsciously learned, and you feel that it is going to work for you. Not knowing that your children are not mini-me's. They are not a mini somebody of you. They are a different personality. So you need to study that personality. You need to know their love language. Like, this child, if I touch her too much, how will she feel? If I hug her too much, how will she feel? Okay, should I use words of affirmation for her? You need to learn. Then the question got me thinking that, I think this is what I need to do. I need to know my children. I need to know them more, because I was using the same measure for the 3 of them. Meanwhile, I'm supposed to treat them as an individual. This person is different from this person. This person is different from this person. And alhamdulillah for Sister Shakira, I think after a month I got into a class, my children now feel like they feel more relaxed. Apparently the other 3-year-old that is not always able to own up was actually afraid of consequence. Like, what will she do? She's going to scream again. She's going to hit me again. Then it was now very easy for him to just tell me. If I ask who did this, he'll tell me. If he just raise his hand like this, it's me. And I was wild, like, so but she's like, really? You understand? He was actually afraid that if I talk now, she might slap me, she might beat me, she might do this, she might do that. So my children actually made me aware. And it was until I had the 3rd one, when it was becoming overwhelming, I had to seek help.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So the point I was able to pick is that you needed to know your children individually, teach them individually, train them individually, interact with them individually, and understand them individually. This way, your parenting
Yeah.
journey would be a lot
Know
easier and a lot more
know
intentional.
their strengths and their weaknesses, their love
Now,
languages, and yeah.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, so Sister Karima, I would like to direct this question to you. At what point in your parenting journey did you realize that you needed this parenting education, this parental education?
Jazakumullah khairan for the opportunity.
Now,
I actually realized I needed to talk to someone very early. I think my first child was about 3 or so. And he's 13 now, so that's about 10 years ago. But each time I made an attempt, I discussed with my husband, he was always like, oh, Johnny Romawani, he was always very discouraging. So I just technically got fed up recently, and I was talking to a few people here and there. When I hear of one class, I would join, but I wasn't satisfied. There was no focus, no direction until I heard about her coaching classes and what, and then I decided, okay, solo, do whatever I can, and so from trainings I got from her, I have now started kind of a perfectionist, as she said earlier. So I've been doing a lot of training, getting me off that a bit. So I started, altering the way I go about things, and I began to see it's very minute, but I've started to see a lot of change in the way things are. So nowadays, I use a lot of when I say some things, and my kids are like, mommy, why? I say, these people don't have our values. And I realized that in the last like 3 weeks that I keep using our values, my children are a lot like, you know, they tend to want to listen more instead of just up and go to do what they feel that should be done, irrespective of what mommy says. So you see, the the need for parenting education is very, very important because in the days when we were growing up, everybody was a parent to the child. And at that time, we all seemed to have similar values. We, all the parents, all the adults at that time seemed to have similar values, and it was general. Everybody scolds the child, everybody took care of the child, and what you what your parents tell you is what you will always find outside. There was no situation of Kia Bomo Winile, come on, like a Koja de Sita. Ara Tayama no pada wale. I don't know if you understand, if you all get my Yoruba. Those outside that the child went to meet will send the child back home, or even hold the child by
It was
hand
a
and take the child
community.
back
It
home.
was a community.
Yes, it was a community. That's the word. It was a community. Everybody did it the same way. But in this day and age, if you scold your child in the house and the child runs out, the child will find an environment that will accommodate the misdeed, which is going to be a big problem. It is a big problem for everybody. So we need to learn how to manage the whole situation whereby people with other values that are different from ours will not corrupt our children for us, because eventually when everything happens it becomes your problem. Those from outside will not care. They will share. So you're going to have to be the one to solve it. So, we need to learn how to do this thing because the way life is now has technically changed. It's no more a community. It's individual for himself, each man for
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah.
So having parenting, do they know how to take care of our own child for us and everything? But what I've come to realize is that they don't need to know how to take care of our child. They have been able to talk to parents, use different methods, suggested different things to help various parents with different challenges, but to achieve the aim. So suggestions, go about it this way, go about it this way, you try it. It's all trial by error, but trial by errors that people have attempted and to a large extent have recorded success in it. So parenting education is very important. Education in anything you're going to delve into is very, very important. That's just it.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, ma'am. Thank you so much. So you understood that there was more needed. There was more that was needed on the parenting journey, and you sought the knowledge. You went on the journey to learn more about the knowledge. You realized that in this 21st century, community parenting is not the way out to make children upright. So you needed to learn the new way of how to parent intentionally. Jazakallah khair. Now, so, Mrs. Medina, please, I want you to add your own insight for us on this question. When and how did you realize that you needed this particular parenting education? Assalamu alaikum, Mrs. Medina. Are you here, ma'am?
My own journey is, I don't even know how to call it. And naturally, I'm someone that likes to learn. Let me put it that way. So, and let me say, in quotes, I've become a parent in quote from when I was much younger, last born, be the one to take care of the children of my own elder siblings and all that. So, I'd had cause to do some little. I can't say parenting book with you, and I'll not collect it and flick through it. I may not be able to read it per se, and I might not get it all. Obviously, I won't get it all. But okay, at this particular stage in time, these are the challenges I'm facing with the kids. I flick to that page. Oh, okay. I note it. I try to work with it. Like that. I became a mom to my own kids and all that. Then somewhere along the line, all this my thing, all this abroad, I don't even remember the name of the parenting community. They had a conference like this too. I think that one was maybe like a week or so. They had different people. One that made me up my game more was during that COVID. COVID now, we are all at home, bored and all that, so more of online. So and I'm in the education sector, so all these education programs that were popping up online, I had cause to just join, and I attended one, and person made a statement, and that was a statement that really hits me. That we're in the era where we need to learn, unlearn, and relearn. I seriously need to go and unlearn some things. So now I need to find out what are those things I need to unlearn. And luckily enough, around that time too, I came across our coach being a holiday we had. Like that was my
I can't hear her. Is it just me?
I think we lost her.
Okay.
I didn't hear her too.
Maybe she'll be able to join later. Maybe Mr. Khadija should help us bring them back in. Perhaps they might be backstage.
Okay.
okay. So I don't know where I got caught up.
I believe somebody is trying to join now. Okay, she's here.
Okay, so I don't know where I was caught up, but during the holiday, I was during that period, I was like, oh no, I had already prepared our activities for the holiday, and I wasn't yet. And with time, I keep realizing that truly the whole journey is all about learning, unlearning, and relearning.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. So you were not really you were already let's say a parent right from when you were younger, And while you were growing up, you realized that there were some things you need to unlearn, relearn, and learn about parenting. And of course, you took it seriously. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for that. This is getting interesting. So we can move on to the next question. Mrs. Karima is not here with us. I hope she joins us as soon as she can. Now, so the next question is, as we all know that this is the TP Parenting, the TP Academy has, the TP Academy is a parenting academy, and of course, we're doing really, really well, alhamdulillah. All thanks to Allah. So this question is, how has the TP Parenting Academy helped you regard this parenting education? So I'm going to direct this question to Mrs. Karima Ologolo.
What?
Can you hear me, ma? Do you want me to repeat the question? Okay, I said, in what ways has the TP Academy helped you with regards to parenting education? Assalamu alaikum, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Is she here? I don't think so.
Yes, she's here.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum, Mrs. Karima. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Hey, sorry. I think the network is bad.
Mm.
On our end, yeah.
Yes, I think so. Okay, so Mrs. Akinyele, could you please go ahead with the question? In what ways has the TP Academy helped you as regards parenting education?
Okay. The first thing is that with the TP Parenting Academy, there's no how you will not be involved. You would always be involved because there is a connection activity for each day. For every day, there is a connection activity. Then we have trainings too. We have like seminars, we have trainings, we have sessions monthly where Mr. Shakira asks you what your challenge for the month was. You talk about it and she prefer a solution. In fact, or both of you would even look for the solution together because she would ask you some questions and you would even realize that, oh, the answer is actually inward. You would be the one to even possibly come up with the solution yourself. Then another thing is it promotes family routine and encourages connection. Yes. Like there was a time they told us the connection for that activity that day for that day was have a touch something with your child, a touch game with your child. It was that day I realized I couldn't do Tinko again because I had to ask my children that what should we do, and one of them was like, let's do Tinko now. And I started and I was so lost with it. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know how to go about it. It was my child that was now telling me, no, you do like this, you do like this. I'm like, wow, so then it made me see parenting as it's a process. It's a process, like it's a process, and it's a continuous journey. It's not something you do today and be like, I've finished learning about parenting. In fact, parenting. So it's a continuous process. You have to continue it. Then in fact, there are so many things. It made me have a different outlook to discipline. It doesn't have to be for punishment. It doesn't have to be, discipline doesn't have to be like, the child should not see the sufferness in the discipline. It should be for corrective measures and for the child to realize that the child should know. Not that no. Before then, God says, before you even carry out your measure, the child's already dead in already. No, it shouldn't be like that. Then it's got me mindful of my language with the child. You need to be positive. You need to be positive with your child at all times. You need to be positive with your child. You need to connect with your children. All this will make the bond, will make the parenting bond grow. Your children will not be afraid of you. Not that they will not be afraid of you, but I don't know. But we have afraid and afraid. If you understand what I mean by that, like you'll be afraid in a more positive way, not in the way of daddy me, I be mommy me. Like the child will now be scared to. So I think that
Okay.
there are so many
Now,
ones. Let me not take the whole time.
I was able to pick points. Now. Alhamdulillah. I was able to pick some points, and I'm going to just come over the point again I was able to pick. The first one is that the TP Academy has served as an haven for you as a parent, where you can always share your challenges, whatever things you're going through as a parent. And also it has made you understand that parenting is a process, and that you don't need to have all the knowledge at the same time because you want to parent a child. And also the TP Academy has also served to you as an accounting and as a parenting accountability figure, because they made you understand that, okay, here is what you should do right now, here is what we can do now, and all of that. And also it has made you mindful. It has increased your mindfulness as a parent on your journey as a parent. So I think that's more than enough. Barakallahu Fik, welcome to TP Parenting Academy. Now, okay, so sister Mrs. Madina Osho, I am directing this question to you: that how has the TP Academy helped you or shaped you on your parenting journey?
Now, there's a lot to say, a lot. So let me pick some examples to use to explain what some of the things I've picked. I remember when my child was like around 2+, my strong-willed son. That's something I've also learned here. There's no stubborn child, you just have strong-willed children. So he had this habit of always playing with water. There was a time a whole bottle of seaweed, he wasted it playing with it. We had to, as a matter of fact, for that period, we had to stop buying it just because of him. So I learned that, okay, instead of beating him, I now directed his attention to, okay, you've poured water on the floor, get the rag, clean the floor, get the napkin and clean the table. And till now, my son still does that. Even if he plays with water or even if it's any of his siblings, he will tell them. He will not even tell them. He himself will go and get it with water. And it was that process was really beautiful for me, because that time was frustrating, the way he used to play with water and all that. Another thing is, fine, like I said, I've always been doing research and I try to answer my children, but mostly when I'm at home, I don't have their time. So it got to a stage where the only time my children will ask me questions is when we're outside on our way out, because they know they have my full attention then. But I got to, I became conscious of that fact that it can't only be then when I will give them my attention. When we're at home too, I need to be able to attend to their questions and give them, because it's not everything they will remember to ask outside. Mostly it is things that maybe we are passing by and catches that they'll ask. But at home, there are other issues too that they will come to their mind. If I'm not able to answer them, it would affect. So I've learned, and recently, the issue of my emotions, understanding where I am self. By the time I want to discipline the children, yes, I picked that recently, and it's helped me a lot. Then my personality, as in my love language, yes, I've realized now that it has affected what I expect from the children, and I've tried to calm down on that, and okay, less of my expectation and more of, okay, what do they need to bring forward in this situation. I've learned a lot. Let me just, as Ms. Aki, I said a lot, some of it. So, and I've added a few from my experiences that I've shared.
No, Barakallahu Fikum. May Allah bless that for you. So I'm going to quickly recap what you said so that we can just have an overview. So the first one, you said that you've been able to with the TP Parenting Academy, you've been able to adopt a right discipline technique for your children.
Yes.
And the second one is that you've been able to be more conscious about your availability for your children. And also, it has reshaped your personality as regards relating with your children as a parent to their children, as a mom to your children. Now, Barakallahu Fikum, and may Allah bless TP Parenting Academy once again.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Okay, so Mrs. Karima Ologolo, are you here with us now, ma'am? I think you had an issue with your network then. Okay, so is there anything you want to add to this question? Is there any way, what are the ways that the TP Parenting Academy has helped your parenting education?
The academy has helped me by throwing light into a lot of dark, shady areas in the whole parenting journey. I have become a lot more aware, and even in my reactions or my responses to the children's actions, I have been able, I've actually changed. I'm not where I wish to be, but I know I've shifted from where I was. And a particular one that always comes back to mind is something that happened about 3 weeks ago where um, my son, my eldest child, and I were fasting during the last 10 days of, during the first 10 days of the Hijjah. We were fasting. All the others had broken their fast, and he was tired. He had just come back from school. I wanted us to go to buy something, so everybody went in the car. We picked him up on his way back, and we all went. We got to where we were going to buy bread, and we didn't get. I told us to wait for 45 minutes. 45 minutes mean all. Okay, so I said, we shall maneuver one way or the other. I got bread from somewhere, but he was really grouchy and touchy and all. I told them, okay, stay by the car. Before that, when we got down from the car, we noticed that my older daughter was wearing two different shoes. And he was really, really annoyed. He was like, no, she can't go with me like this. So that was really what triggered his anger. Apart from the fact that he was. And I was like, he said we should leave her by the car. I said, we're on the road. I can't leave her by the car. It's not.
It's not safe.
Back home and leave her at home. Or we continue our journey and we're already in front of where we want to buy something. Going back home is not realistic. So he was very grouchy and all. And eventually, we went to get what we wanted. We came back. He kept avoiding the girl like a plague. And buy the bread from further down where I saw it wasn't going to be oven fresh, but at least we'll get something to eat. 4 nylons, I'm handing it over to them. And the boy was just looking at me and say, this woman, you better leave me alone. So I just children and entered the car and everything. So in the process, they put the bread at the back, which was blocking my view to reverse. I was like, remove this thing from here. So they removed and one of them handed one to him and said, hold it, Joe, you two, you will not carry anything. That's the eldest son. And I collected it and said, I gave it back to the boy and said, I told you to hold on to this. So he got the fact that I was ignoring him, as in 100% ignoring. I was just not ready to talk or anything. The normal me before, I would have wrecked Marty for a balori and everything. I scolded him, done all sorts of things, invariably getting angry myself. But I didn't do any of that. I just kept quiet, exited the car, reversed, left the place and everything, got home. I ignored him all through until after he had eaten. After he had eaten and everything. And I asked him, Charity balance, are you fine now? He was still is that later on, the work that he would have normally done halfway, and I would have called him 5-6 times before he finishes it, called him back. So I can actually maintain this kind of cool. and not rake, and the whole house will be upside down and everybody will be touching her at the end of the day. Very good. So since then, I really been working. Though I've not really been able to achieve that coolness of that particular deal, but at least
Wow.
to understand a lot about myself, and I have been able of my kids properly. I know my daughter that is that her love language is touch. That one now. Even my first son too, I've realized that words get to him a lot. So I, as much as possible, so it's work in progress. It's work in progress, but I'm not where I was, and I'm really
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair. That's an interesting story anyway. I think I used to be your first son actually, but alhamdulillah that we're getting better. So it's the TP Academy has helped you to expand your parental awareness, especially your mindset when it comes to managing situations that has to do with your children when it is not so favorable. Yeah. So I like that point really. Barakallahu feekum. Okay. Sister Shakira, I know of course you are the you are the brand, you are the TP parenting, you are the brand, of course. But I want to be sure, I want to assume that there's some things you've also learned in the process of teaching people, or in the process of you sharing your parenting journey with people. So is there anything you want to add to the fact to everything that our speakers have said as regards being you as a parent, not even being the person who has the TP Academy now?
Okay, Alhamdulillah, I mean, Jazakumullah khairan for that. So everyone here, Jazakumullah khairan for being honest and being vulnerable. Because someone, it takes a lot of strength to put ourselves to the screen like this, where everyone is seen from the whole world, from all around the world, to share our experiences. So I really appreciate you all, and I ask Allah to reward you abundantly for what you have done. So looking at myself as a parent in the TP, not as a coach herself, I think one of the things I understanding my own self, I'm a social learner. I learn better when we're in group. I learn better when I share stories, when I listen to people talk. So aside from the fact that I'm the one that bring that lead, of course we all have them in us. We all have these things in us. We just need somebody to call our attention to it. And sometimes it might be you that will allow we use, it might be somebody else. As Muslims, we know that we have this intuition in us that we must honor. And that's why we tell people that beating your child, eating your child, for every mistake, for everything they do. I'm not saying you should not express your displeasure. When you constantly do that to your child lost their sense of intuition. They tend to doubt themselves. And this is a gift that Allah has given us. The ability to reflect, go back in and acknowledge that I've made mistake is a gift that we all have. Until the society starts telling us that, starts labeling us, castigating us, judging us, then we now learn to what to hide. So aside from the fact that I happen to be the one that allows it for this particular feedback, I also learn from every one of them. From Miss Sologola for one, I learned from her in aspect of how she's so vulnerable. She can be vulnerable. She's so vulnerable, and I appreciate that. The fact that she has an older child, a child of 13 years, and I just have a child of 16 years, is a level of confidence that she is actually reinforcing in me to believe that what I'm teaching is actually effective. So for her to come to my level to seek knowledge, to understand that I can listen to this person is a lesson on its own for me. And for every other person too that is here. For Mrs. Madina Osho, for example, she's a very busy person, very busy. She's into that. I'll see her online at midnight doing this. Although she usually give excuses I don't usually like to accept, but I understand that she's very busy. Even despite doing this, sometimes she might compound her activities and do everything like 10 of them in a weekend. And I understand that. So I'm learning that she's so committed. Even though she does not have the time like I typically have, I can't compare someone that is busy working as a lecturer in school to myself that I'm a stay-at-home mom that I work from home. But I might have all the time with my child. I've learned from every one of them. Mrs. My Akinyele, likewise, she can be very busy, she can be very tired. I will see the stress in her face, and she still show up. She still say, I'm very tired, don't say for me, but I'm having this headache. But she still show up. So that commitment that we are willing to change, we are willing to make efforts is the biggest thing for me, is the peak for me in terms of how we are investing into unlearning. Because it's not easy for you to want to unlearn habits. It's easy to emulate new habits, but to unlearn can be difficult. And that's why we keep emphasizing that we should not set our children up for the struggles that we are also going through now. We should give them a good foundation. Yes, they are going to turn out right, like we turn out right, but the goal is not for us to have children who turn out right. We want children who are better than we are. Children who don't have to go for therapists in their future. Children who don't have to work on their emotional life and spiritual life for repair in the future. We have many of us are repairing ourselves now. So I think I learned from them that no matter what you have learned or what you have been told about a particular approach, you can unlearn everything that is a culture that we are talking about. Culture is learned, something that we learn. So you can unlearn, you can create your own culture. And I like the fact that Mr. Ologolo is always particular about values. One of the people that is particular about religious morals when it comes to the TP Academy. I want my child to be this, I want to be this, I want to be that. In my family, we are different, they don't have this, but I want my children to be this. And she's willing to work on that. So that values that she's teaching her children in terms of not just telling them what to do, relating it back to their values, is making the children also account for themselves. So the tip of it for me is how we are united together, how we actually believe that we can help one another. And that's it for me. That vulnerability is something that I've learned. I like people that can be true. I don't like people that just hide under the umbrella of I'm busy, I'm this and that. People that can be true to their experiences. And I think that's what all of them have. And I'm happy to be working this journey with them. And I'm happy for all the challenges that have brought us all together. Alhamdulillah, that's all I have to say.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, jazakallah khair. I really like that. And barakallahu fikum to everybody here in the TP Academy and the people that are not here. So this is getting interesting, and I must say, I feel like being a parent overnight, but that's not possible. Okay, so now that we already know, why we need parenting education, views of parenting education and insights, the real deal is, what are the challenges of being a 21st century parent? I know there are a lot of challenges, because we're trying to repair, and it is difficult. It is always easy to spoil something, but it takes a lot to repair something. So what are those challenges that might actually, hinder us, or that might actually kawalowoko when it comes to learning to be an intentional parent in this 21st century? What are those challenges? I would direct this question first to Mrs. Akinyele, please.
Okay. One of the challenges I have here is that parenting in the 21st century, parenting has changed. As in, it has really changed from what it used to be. Especially because women are taking up time-consuming careers and businesses that take so much of their time. So this kind of makes parenting in the 21st century challenging. So because of these careers that women have gone into or businesses they've taken up, they tend to leave their children in care of crèche, housemaids, daycare providers, and maybe grandmas or something. So the parenting responsibility shifts from the parents to those people. And like Mrs. Ologolo said, values, our family values is very important. Those people cannot interpret your family values the way you would. So they just do whatever they feel is right. And most times, they are not in the best of positions to instill the kind of morals, the kind of values, the kind of discipline we want. They might call you and tell you, Mrs. Akinyele, your daughter, Oshibai, Oshibai, Oshibai. If I tell them, discipline their own, the way they understand discipline is different from the way I understand discipline. Eventually, they might decide to tell her to carry block and raise up her hand and start crying. That I won't do for her. You understand? So the discipline, the parenting discipline is shifting from the 21st century parent is moving to the carers and the caregivers, the school. They leave it to them, and it is not supposed to be like that. Then another challenge that I feel that the 21st century parent has is that because of the way our parents parented us, like I said, unconsciously, we are parenting our children the same way. And we are not supposed to do that. So it is not surprising to find somebody, maybe they usually shout at the person while she was growing up, or they beat her, and meanwhile, in her mind, she has this at the back of her mind before she starts giving birth that no more me because but unconsciously, if the child offends you, the first thing is you like this morning on the group, somebody said you don't have the impulse control. The first thing is bah. You can't help it except you consciously decide to learn. You decide to be conscious about it. So it's not their fault, but it's the way they were parented. So I think that's another challenge for the 21st century parents.
Exactly.
So let me stop at that again.
No, exactly. Yeah, that's a lot. That's heavy, especially the first point. Really, really heavy. Miala hate us, and Miala is our first. Okay, so Mrs. Madina Osho, please, what are those challenges that that 21st century parents are facing in being an intentional parent? Mrs. Madina Osho, are you here with us?
I think a network is present.
Okay, Mrs. Karima Ologolo, can you please go ahead with us, ma'am?
Okay, Nam. I listened to the parenting lecture.
Yes, you can go ahead, ma'am. We can hear you.
Me?
Mrs. Karima, can you please go ahead with us? Yes, I think our network is not taking it easy on how.
Okay. Well, first, one thing I want parents are actually, let me use the word broken. It may not be the appropriate word to use. We that we're carrying. So, as Mrs. Akiele said, control. We don't have that control not to do those things. So many times before I joined the Parenting Academy, but before we know what's going on, we're back to it again. So it takes being of other things to be able to actually cross over from how we were parenting through children because they are a world of they are worlds apart. See and not hear. They will see that a child is there, but you don't need to hear that the child is present. Children are their presence. It's a world apart. It's conflicting. We need to, from our own ages of parent of our own upbringing, and learn of our children because they are the future of tomorrow, and also because the 21st century generally has a lot of sedentary lifestyle whereby they are most end up being bored all the time and they don't seem to know how to take care of the situation. I know that boredom is a good thing, it helps them invent, but they don't know that. Sometimes I used to kind of find it very difficult to comprehend why they expect me to satisfy their boredom, to bring them out of boredom. But with time, I got to realize that it's a thing of this century, and I now begin to give them ideas of what to do and how to go about it. You know, so they try, although they still come back and mommy and bored and bored, but at least they started, moving out of the mommy thing every time, clinging to mommy all the time. Instead of moving off, going to create something or the other. Although my house is always in a mess eventually, but out of a mess, no, I might eventually clean it up. You know. So in getting to know what to do generally, because the challenge is there. Apart from the fact that the 21st century parents is broken, we are also very busy. Very busy. A lot of us are taking up tasks that are so time consuming and making it difficult for us to have the time for these children. When we were growing up, it was a community. Everybody took care of all the children around. So you may not really feel the fact that your parents were busy working. As for those of us that had civil servant parents, you may not feel the fact that your parents were busy working. But right now, everybody is busy. Everybody is busy. So the children are just there to grow up on their own. So we, the 21st century parents, need to actually sit back and craft out the time for these children to help them develop in all the different stages so that we can eventually have a holistic child.
Hmm. Jazakallah khair. Hmm. This is serious. Okay. I don't know if Sister Mrs. Madina is here for us now. She could just add 1 or 2 points and then we round up this question, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, Mrs. Madina. Are you here with us, ma'am?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am. Just could you give us just one
Can
or
you
2
hear me
points?
now?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
Please,
Nam. So
can you
I
add
was
the
speaking.
point to
Actually, I
now?
started talking the other time, but obviously you couldn't hear me.
Oh, my apologies.
So I was talking about the fact that I was at a parenting lecture and there was a picture the lecturer put up. He had a child hanging on a branch. He had a child hanging on a branch with over a body of water that had an alligator in it. At the edge of the bank was a lion, and on the tree above was a snake. And he said that was a picture of what our children are facing in the world they are today. They are surrounded by a lot of let me use the word wrong values. You have cartoons talking about all these LGBT, all these um change of these how do they call, yeah, LGBT, lesbianism, gay, whatever, and all that. And you have, as in, the values have totally changed. Being truthful is seen as being stupid now.
Stupid.
Being upright in an environment where the community.
I think we lost her again. Our network is
Okay.
actually doing us a bad thing today.
Yeah. Yes. Our network is not taking it easy with her. Okay. So I think she wanted to say maybe an environment where the society's values is not upright or is watery. It is important that we we hold on to our values, and we need to be the one to teach our children. Okay. I think we have to just move ahead. This is 12 minutes past 12. We have less than 30 minutes left. Okay. Okay, so now our next question is, can we really call the 19th century? I'm sure that most of the points that we've highlighted are that, okay, many of us are broken, many of us are carrying a lot of baggages from from our parents, how we were parented. A lot of us have, some kind of like not too good opinions about our parents parenting style. So we want to change that. We want to change the narration. So I would like to ask this question. I've been thinking about it. Can we really call the 19th century parenting style negligence, unintentional, or ignorant? Because there was nothing like parenting education then, or maybe there was parenting education but not rampant or not intentional. So their parenting style then, what can we call it? Is it negligence? Is it that they are unintentional? Is it that they are ignorant about the fact that we have different personalities as their children, or they are ignorant or they're unintentional about the values that they instill in us, or they are just negligent about that? Okay, whatever it is, what can we call this? What can we call their style of parenting? Mrs. Shakira, could you just help us start with this question, please? Now.
Okay, Tamara comes to Laboratory too. So when I tell people that we are trying to bring out faults or bring out the lapses of our parents' way of parenting us, it's not like we are judging them. We're not judging them. We're only trying to reflect. Because part of being a conscious person is to reflect deliberately about why we are here, what brought us here, where we are coming from, and where we intend to go. So I personally would not want to blame our parents as being unintentional. Just like you said, the issue of learning about parenting is something that just started this 21st century and just become prominent in let's say some 10, 15 years back. The issue of parent education was so much pronounced in Nigeria some 3, 4 years back. And COVID was one of the things that exposed many of us to the need for parenting education, because we are so used to our autopilot. Like Mr. Logolo said, we are so busy, we don't have the time. So we are always doing everything on autopilot. But COVID forced us to sit down with our kids and we start seeing the things that we have caused unconsciously. So I personally will not see our parents as being unintentional, but I would say that many of them lack what we call system, and they lack what we call let me use the word, they were parenting on hope. Yes, that's the word. Many of our parents parented us on hope. They were hoping that miracle will happen from somewhere. They were hoping that by virtue of being an afar, a pastor, a priest, a sheikh, automatically their children will turn out right. They assume that what? By virtue of me just teaching my children about praying, going to mosque, going to church, my child will turn out right. So they lacked what we call values. Values, they were values, but they were not pronounced to us. We don't understand what they meant by when they tell us that don't do this. For example, those of us that are Muslims that we use the hijab, we don't know the value of Islam. We just so that our parents were doing it. And we started doing it. Very few of our parents were intentional by monitoring us, by letting us know why we're doing things, they just imposed many of them on us. So our parents parented us on hope. I would not like to use the word not really unintentional. Yes, they're not really unintentional, but I think many of them, the right word to use it on hope. They were hoping that what, by virtue of going to school, I will invest in my child. They go to school, they go to madrasa, they go to church, they are going to turn out right, which is not the case. Because the way God has created, Allah has created the structure of parent-child relationship, you are the one that will do majority of the work. When I say you are the one, I don't mean that you must be the one that must be physically present. You must have that system in your house that enables your children to understand the values that you stand for, your essence, why you are here. So you must, you must have that. It was on hope. They were parenting us on hope, hoping that was by virtue of just going to school, my child is a doctor, and that era. It was the era of doctors. Now it's the era of tech gurus, and we need to be careful as Muslims, especially as Muslims, Muslim parents. What are the intention that you're using to raise a child? Okay, I want to have tech guru in my house. It's a good thing, but you know that behind every intention is a reward. And each of us will be rewarded according to our intention. So our parents may parented us with the intention of once my child go to school, they come back home, they'll come and feed me. I'm going to be okay. So that was the goal. I was parenting on hope. I hope that this thing will just automatically go. My child is having a problem. I'm not looking for ways to help them. So we cannot really blame them in the sense that the level of knowledge that we have now, they did not have it. So they just did everything on try and error, just like Mr. Logolo said, try and error, we'll try this, we'll try that. Very few of them was deliberate. And for those that were even deliberate, they used the approach of toxicity to instill that value, to instill that morals in us. Approach of my way or the highway, which we can unlearn. We don't have to be rigid before we can teach our children values. And that's Islam for you. Islam is believing that what is the soul of the child that you want to nurture. You want to nurture that soul. Your child to understand their essence. Once your child understand their essence, you model right to them, they are going to get it on the right track. But many of our parents do as I say, is not do as I say, is not do what I do. So we must deliberately create that time. Time is a big challenge, it's a big factor for us as parents. We don't really know the importance of sitting down now, putting that time for ourselves. And our parents, we cannot really blame them. We have to let go of blaming our parents, because obviously in the next coming generation, they're going to have faults to bring out from our home parenting journey too. But what we are saying is that can we at least put our own effort such that our children will not ask us, what were you doing, mommy? Even if they may not be able to ask us physically, what were you doing when your mates were learning? As a child, I was a strong-willed child. I asked my mom that question before. I once asked my mommy that, why do you even give birth to me? Everything is just problem. We are moving from one place to another. Because if you have some children that are strong, they will ask you to your face. And each time now I ask Allah for forgiveness, and I also ask her for forgiveness, because you understand I was coming from a place of frustration. I was just tired of the whole thing. So we need to know that our parents, we cannot really actually blame them. You have to give them some excuses that, of course, what I'm most so much fearful of is our own generation, because now we have the old knowledge, we have the old resources, and yet just little of us are making the efforts. So that's the way I say it. Thank you.
No, Jazakallah khair. And I think I'm I'm able to derive a point from what you said, that there's some things that are happening then that are not happening now. So they were able to parent us according to the resources they have then. And we are able to parent our children now according to the resources, according to our reality now at this century, in this century rather. So now. Okay. Mrs. Karima, please could you help us have some insights into this? What are the 19th century parenting? What can you call it? Why do you think do you think their style is negligence? Do you think it is unintentional, or do you think it is just ignorance? Is it just that they were ignorant about some things and then they were unable to give us,
Say they were ignorant, and I won't say they were careless or non. parented from how they were also parented. So it was what they had. And just like Sashakira said, they didn't have it then. So they just did what they knew. But a lot of everybody is saying this is how it is, this is how it is. But right now we're having all these challenges of um, things like suicide, depression, and all that. Not that suicide, depression did not happen at those times, but it was minute, almost insignificant. But right now it has become so blown out because right now everybody's on its own. We have information overload. Processing that information is hectic. People are on their own. They have come to realize that okay, certain things that happened to me when I was younger is the reason why this is happening, and they are probably not able to um, process or heal from all what has happened in the past. Equally, you the younger ones now that are now going into um, having suicidal thoughts, going into depression, is also from the lack of everything that they need. At least in our own time, at least I remember certain things that happened to me. Recently is when I just realized that, oh, is this things that happened when I was younger that makes me the way I am. And then I'm working on, um, overcoming it. There's some memories I had events in my past that I realized, okay, with the information I have at my disposal now, these things that happened in the past happened because of what my parents had with them. They couldn't have given me any difference. So I am now healing from those things. And my exposure now with the information I have now, I am working on not transferring it onto the children. Because I have already seen situations whereby the way I had been training my children before now has started showing up in the way they relate with each other. There's this thing of tabambo mosheri when you're playing with a child, or the slightest thing shall you smack the child, whether playing or not. I've come to realize that my children have turned smacking each other into play. So parenting then, it wasn't negligence. It was what they had. They gave us what they had. They couldn't have given us anything less. But now that we have something different, we need to sift through the information that we have to prevent an information overload, pick what is useful, digest it, and work with it. Yala is our
Amen. Amen. Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair. I like that submission. Barakallahu fikum. Okay, so before we move on to the questions in the comment section, do we have parting words? Any of the speakers? Do we have any parting words to give to us before we move to the question section, inshallah?
Okay. I would like to say that as a parent, before you start your parenting journey, you need to know yourself first. You need to know yourself. You need to be self-aware. How much do you know yourself? And how well do you know yourself? What are your triggers? What triggers your anger? There are times your child will be crying, and the next thing you do is slap the child or beat the child. It could be that the crying triggered something in you. The child is just crying. It could be a way of, the child's cry could be a way of, for a request. he could want something and he might not know the best way to express himself other than to cry. So rather than beat the child, look for what is making the child cry. But because you don't know yourself, you don't know your triggers, then you went ahead and started beating the child. Then another thing is, when you become aware early enough, it makes it very easy to address whatever challenges, whatever parenting challenges you have. Unlike when your child is already 17, 18, you might not be able to address the challenge. That's when you start looking for therapists to talk to the child, psychologists to help it. But if you become aware early enough, then you would be able to at least to address whatever challenge you have early enough. Then another thing is, we should know our children's love language. It is going to go a long way. We should try to know their love language. The love languages, I may not remember them the way, well, I may not remember everything, but I believe that we have words of affection, words of affirmation. Some children, when you tell them positive things, it makes them want to do more. It makes them want to do better. Now, have you learned what love language or what your child's love language is yet? Some children, their love language could be touch. Just touch that child and the child will be fine. Just bring the child close to you, hug the child, and the child will be fine. Pat the child on the back. Some children, their love language is the love language could be I'm sorry, I forgot it. But I know that
gifts. Could be gifts.
I know that there are 5 of
gifts.
Yes, it could be giving gifts. Yes, it could be giving gifts. Maybe you just buy the child gifts, and there are so many. There are 5 of them. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But try to. What did you say?
The act of service.
Okay, act of service too. Act of service is another one. So try to know what your child's love language is, and it is going to go a long way in helping your parenting journey. Then be self-aware. Know yourself first before you know your child. Then another thing is, you should know that your child cannot be like you. Your child is not a mini me or a mini version of you. No, the child has its own. She's her own person, and you are your own person. You don't have the same temperament. You don't have the same love language. You don't have the same strength. You don't have the same weakness. So you need to know what, you need to know that child. So don't say that so ìwọ náà o gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe báyìí, ìgbà tí mo rí báyìí tí mo ṣe máa ń ṣe lélẹ̀, ìwọ náà o gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe báyìí. You're going to frustrate that child because the child is different and you are different as well. Even if the child has siblings, they are all different. So you treat them as individuals. So what else? I think that's basically my addition.
Now, Jazakallah khair. Barakallahu fikum. I think Sister Mrs. Karima Logolo is not here anymore, and Mrs. Madina Osho is also not here. So Sister Shakira, is there any other parting words you want to give to us before we?
Okay, firstly, I want to thank all our speakers for honoring us, for willing to be brave enough to share their stories, because it's not easy for us to come out here. Like I usually say, it takes the brave to acknowledge their weakness, and that's what all of our speakers today are doing. They are coming out to show the parents that if you are intentional enough, if you're willing to walk that journey, it's possible for you to learn unhealthy habits. Like I said earlier on, that one of the things that we are focused at as a TP is to help parents learn unhealthy patterns. We have patterns in parenting that will see manifest itself over generations. And if you must deliberately unlearn those things, like the quote that I used when I was having the address speech, that Yoruba will say, "Irome ta okintoshi." For those that don't understand Yoruba, it means that what? Irome fa okintoshi. It means that what? We cannot have 6 generation, circles of generation in poverty or in abject poverty. But what I've realized is that what? That quotation, that word is not true. Things will not happen. Things will change until we change ourselves. So each and every one of us should go back to our home, should go back sincerely to ourselves and ask ourselves, what are the things that are holding us back? Because we know them. What are the things? Are you proud of the home you come from? Because obviously, family is a legacy. We have some families that when you mention their name now, you know what they stand for. You have some families that when you mention their name, you know what they stand for, positive or negative. So ask yourself, in the globe of the world, where does my family stand? Because we must understand that we are here for a purpose. And our purpose is not just give birth to these children and let's just give birth to them, let's just be raising them. It's so challenging. This is an holiday period. You see parents just laxing away their time during this holiday. They don't have any plan for their kids. They believe that since it's holiday, do I still have to stress myself? Yes, there should be limits to what you do. You must create time for yourself as a parent so you can give to your child. But you must create that system in your house, that structure that allows your children know that this is what to do. Because I'm planning for this conference and my children they know they don't have something concrete to do because I'm planning, but they are reading. So you must have that culture. In my own family, be sincere with yourself. This is a question that you must be sincere. Just be honest. Tell yourself the brutal truths about your reality. Is this how you want to continue? Is this how you want to continue the pattern? And we continue to say that these people, many of the things that we assume to be spiritual problems are not even spiritual problems. They are psychological problems because somebody have been told that you just believe that somebody somewhere is doing you. There's no village people anywhere. Yes, village people exist, but we are on miracle. You want miracle to happen to you? Hold yourself responsible for your life. And one thing that we must always remember as Muslims is that what we are going to account for all of the things that we do on these children. If not to man, but to Allah, you're going to account to Allah. And that must always ring in your head every time. Don't see your children as burden. I see Muslim parents see their children as burden. So this time of holiday now, you start seeing them as burden. These children will kill me. I have 4 of them now. They are cousins. My son and my foster son and his younger ones are here now. They are 4. They have been here since over how many weeks now? A week. Exactly a week now. And we are still living fine. So don't see your children as burden. Know that you are here on this journey temporarily. Always remember that. Think differently. You're different. You are here temporarily, and every gift that you have been given, be it knowledge, be it wealth, be it children, you're going to account for them. So let's call ourselves, let's remind ourselves, because reminder benefits. Don't see your children as burden. For every effort that you make on them, Allah will reward you. Even if it is painful, you wake up as early as 3 o'clock, you wake up as early as 4 o'clock to sort your own self out, to prepare for them. Have your intention redefined. Each time you are doing it and you're getting exhausted, tell yourself, Allah, I'm doing this for you. Because obviously, your child cannot pay you. We are at a stage that we're now parents now. We understand that we cannot pay our parents back. When I get pregnant, I begin to appreciate my mom better. Even though we're not so close, but I begin to appreciate her better, that I can never pay this woman. So understand that everything that you do for your child on this journey, there is a reward for it. For your negligence, there's a reward for it. So I'll take us back to the word of Allah that says that what? Since it seems impossible, you might ask yourself, where do I start from? In my family, I'm just the only one that is practicing. I'm just the only one that is still oriented, that is still educated. It doesn't matter. If you make efforts, sincere efforts, it might not manifest in your own generation. But believe me, that effort that you make will take the next generation to a greater heights. If you can just make it. We are benefiting from Islam today, from all that we are benefiting today, just because of a decision of somebody. A decision of somebody to stand firm. A decision of somebody to what? To tolerate, to be considerate, to be accommodating. And that's why we are benefiting from the gifts that we can never pay for, the gift of Islam. So I encourage every one of us, first to myself, that we should know that we should think differently. Stop seeing your children as burden. That's my own. Let's stop seeing children as burden. Because it affects the way we interact with them. when you start seeing them as burden, the way you interact with them, automatically the energy will be like, Emma, mommy, don't kill me. I can't come and die. I did not kill my own mother. Yes, you did not kill your mother. But know that these children, you're going to account for them. May Allah make it easy for every one of us. So that's why I see it. I ask Allah to forgive us for whatever mistake we have made and to make it
نعم
easy.
جزاك الله خير.
Ameen wa iyyakum.
آمين.
I think I can hear that there are questions from here.
Yes, we do have questions. So our first question from Sister Fauzia, she said, yes, creating time for them to build holistic children is the way to do good, is the way to go. Good submission, but how do we deal with the praise around, because we cannot be with them all the time?
Who is answering for us? Am I the one or Sister or Mrs. Safso?
Sister Afsa can actually answer that first. How do we deal with the praise around us, around her children, because we cannot be with them all the time?
Okay, so this question still boils down to whatever morals or values we've inculcated in them before they left the house. Then another thing is, what is your relationship with your child? What is your connection level with your child? How does it look like? Can something happen to your child outside, and you are going to be your child's first point of contact, and the child is not going to meet that prayer outside to talk to that prayer? Because it is your connection or your relationship with your child that will make it easy for that child to go through difficulties outside, and at the back of the mind of the child knows that my parents got me, or my mom got my back, or my dad got my back. Let me give an example. When I was in secondary school, I was very, very naughty and stubborn. Everybody in the school knows me. Meanwhile, before I leave the house, my mom would tell me, because I lost my dad at an early age. So my mom would tell me whenever I'm going to school, she would tell me that, tó bá ti ṣe, wọn gbọ́dọ̀ lé ẹ wálé o, wọn gbọ́dọ̀ lé ẹ wálé tó bá ti ṣe, ṣáà sọ fún wọn pé daddy ẹ ti kú, mommy ẹ ti sá lọ. That's what my mom would tell me to tell them. So imagine if I eventually got into trouble in school, who will my first contact be? Or who will my first point of contact be? It will definitely be somebody from outside. And the person might decide to take advantage of the fact that I have a problem, and they will tell me they want to profile a solution to my problem. Then they will take advantage of me. So every time, although that I held that at the back of my mind that daddy needs to come on, so I won't want to get into a problem. Although it had a kind of negative thing at the end on me, but because there's nobody to stand in for me, if I eventually get into trouble, then I decided to always behave myself, at least to an extent. So I hope that answers the question, that what is your relationship with your child first?
Yeah.
What is your connection level with your child first? Do you understand? So it is how you've been able to connect with your child positively that will make the child not go outside to go and meet the prayers outside, but will come back to you, so that both of you will proper solution.
Now it is one thing to know that, okay, they are praised outside, and it is another thing to be a victim of those praise. So when you have a positive connection with your child, and your child knows that he or she has your back, or you've got he or she, would not be able to, like, okay, you wouldn't be a victim of those things. Now I believe that answers the question. Jazakallah khair. Okay, so our next question is going to Sister Shakira, please. Said, one of the challenges of the 21st century parents is that we are just too busy, as we've said earlier. Is there any minimum amount of time we must spend with them on a daily basis?
Okay, I'll not like to agree that there's a minimum amount of time that we have to spend. first it have to be with your own reality, because in all honesty, our reality are the same. I cannot expect a mother that has left home since, let's say, 8 a.m. as a teacher, from teaching job, she still go back to her own personal shop to what to cater for our own business, because the economy is not smiling and we have to make ends meet. Because the reality of the 21st century parents is that we have both parents working, which is quite different from what we used to know while growing up. Even if our parents are both of our parents were working then, our mothers quickly come home after job, maybe latest by 4 5 they're back home. But now we see how mothers are still won't be home until 7 after 7, because they start preparing their dinner. So the reality is that there is no limited maximum or small amount of time that you must use, but you must understand your children. One of the things that I do is that, because I understand my children, that their love language is actually spend quality time. All of them have quality time. At least for the younger one, his own is touch. The next one is the next high rank of the love language is quality time. So I try to make sure that we do activities together, like cooking together. As much as you can create that time to connect, to see them for who they are. When they make mistakes, don't just see it because you are tired. It's more about you. So it's not really about spending this particular amount of time. It's about how you can manage or utilize your reality. So I don't want to give you that you must spend 10 minutes with them daily. You must spend 15 minutes. That's just not going to work. You need to understand your own stuff, understand your own reality, and apply it to that. Understand your children. Some kids by 7 p.m. they're already sleeping. Some kids is by 8, some kids is by 9. So try and know your own reality and just do something daily that connects you together. So I also like to say something about what Mrs. Akinyele said earlier on. I'm sorry for saying that. One of the things that we must know that now, the issue of pray, pedophile is something that we are all scared of. Yes, we should be afraid. But I want to see it from a spiritual perspective, because obviously we can't live our spiritual lives from our reality as Muslims. And we must always be conscious of that. When we talk about the world is now getting crazy, LGBT is here, this one is here, this one is that. We must understand that this is not just something that is happening in our own century, in our own generation. We have it in the Quran. We have the people of what, of some prophet that were yes, of Noah. We have the people of Noah, people that practice all sorts of atrocities. So it's not as if it's strange to us, our own reality. But one thing that I want us to know, we also have a lesson that we can learn from the mother of Musa. That woman is an epitome of what? Of model. Of course, we have to be afraid, because it's human to be afraid of what the reality of our society is now. But then, where do we keep our faith? We should not allow fear to hold us back, that we are so afraid that we now stifle our children because we are afraid of pedophiles. We don't want them to have any social life. We don't want them to live in the reality of their situation. You don't let a child go out. You cannot go to party, you must stay here. You cannot go to friend's house, you must stay here. Your child will feel stifled. So you must understand that. So there's a place for faith. Yes, there's a place for skill. You must teach your children about, just like Mr. Akinyele said, understand your children, have connection with them, teach them skills, teach them the right word for sex education. Once you do that, teach them the self-defense skills. Tie your camel and then leave the rest to Allah. Because one thing that we must always know as Muslims is that we cannot run beyond our Allah's qadar. You can't run beyond Allah's qadar. Once something is destined to happen to you, it will happen. So the way you think is different from the way an ordinary human will think as a Muslim. The mother of Musa was afraid. Musa was giving birth to and was nurtured in the environment of the person that is aiming to kill him, the worst person on earth, Pharaoh. And Allah still protected him. So I don't know why we are so scared of all these people that we forget that the one that we serve is beyond just this fear. Fear has a place in parenting. Yes, we must be afraid. We must put in precautions. But we must go back to our source, our history, our origin. Yes, I'm afraid, Allah. I'm afraid of all this that is happening. Then you tie your camel, put in tools, put in structure that will allow your children have the skill that they can use to defend themselves, and leave the rest to Allah. So let's be afraid. Muslims should not just be afraid of everything. Everything is not meant to be. It's not about being afraid. It's about caution. Cautioning yourself that, am I tying my camel? Am I teaching my child with skills? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Then leaving the rest to Allah. So we must be conscious of that what, yes, we are afraid, but we should not let that fear allow us just see for our children or take us overboard by forgetting that what everything that will happen to us has been written. And the only thing that can change qadar is dua. So continue to dua it to Allah. Continue to dua it to Allah. Continue to dua it to Allah. So always pray for your children. And that's all I have to say about that.
Now, Jazakumullah khair. Thank you so much. So I think we have this one last question. The question says, how best can we manage our impulse for us that get triggered with little things?
Okay.
I was able to manage it for some time, but sometimes I just get carried away. Sister Kelly, I think you can help us with that. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Okay, sorry.
it's still like I said earlier on when I was talking, I said it's a process. It's a process. And when you make mistakes, then you call yourself together. The fact that you are not comfortable with the fact that you are making the mistake, it just shows that you are beginning to become aware. You understand? The fact that you realize that, oh, I was able to hold myself for a while, and now I've gone back to being that. Start all over again. Start all over again. And with time, it becomes a part of you. You know that this thing you've learned for over maybe 30 years plus, or some 20-something years plus, and you've only become aware in the last years, and you want it to automatically work like that. It can't work. It is a process. It will take a while. So just keep reminding yourself that this isn't the way it should be. I can start over again. I can do better. So you can start all over again. It is normal to start all over again. So the fact that you are concerned that you are making mistakes, it just shows that you are on the path. You are self-aware already. You are becoming self-aware. So you get better. You get there, inshallah.
So another thing that they can do is
can you help us add something to it?
I know that. Thank you. I know you're going to ask me. Another thing that you can do is also have accountability session. There is nothing that can help you become better than holding yourself accountable to somebody that you trust, that you can confide in. And that's one of the reasons why we have coaching program. Even in coaching that we receive training as coaches, that's one of the things I say that can help people learn on healthy habits, patterns. Having accountability session whereby you can hold yourself accountable. I did this again today, where you see people give testimonials of themselves that have changed. That will give you hope, because we need that human connection to know that what my humanity is not just immune. It's not just about me. Okay, I also made mistakes too. Somebody shared their story. You learn from their story. You also learn to become better. So having an accountability session or partner can help you do that. And that's one of the things I would do at the TP. We hold you accountable. We ask you to look at yourself. Ask yourself. Set goals for yourself. To make mistake is a part of the process. You learn. You learn. But the more inclined and the more intentional you become, the more you're willing to hold yourself accountable. Because when we work together as a team, we try better than when we work together as one. So we is better than I. We must always know ourselves. We is better than I. So I hope that Allah will ease your affairs for you and make it easy for you. So you might think of joining us. We are willing to walk the journey with you, but may Allah make it easy for every one of us and make our children and hujah for us in both worlds. So that's all I have to say.
Amen. So I think we've used beyond the time we scheduled. So, but there's one last question here. The question says, please, Ma, can you help us list the 5 children love languages? Okay,
we have the love and the affirmation, words of affirmation. There are children that love to be talked to politely. You don't tell them, you don't shame them, you don't tell them, Oreo, wait, things like that. What gets to children that use words that whose love language is the words of affirmation? We have the words quality time. Quality time is children that will always want to be with you every time. You go to the toilet, they will follow you. Especially toddlers. You go to the kitchen, even go till age 10, they want to follow you around. Those that have gifts, and the next one is what? Gifts. Gifts is a love language. And this one is one of the things that many of our parents don't understand. When you ask for something, they are like, you are too demanding, would they very low me? But ideally, it's the language of some people. They love to receive gifts from you. And fortunately, Islam also encourages gifts. So if you're that parent that usually think that, if I give my children gifts, they're going to become spoiled brats. No, it's in the manner in which you give them that matters. What's your intention of giving them? How do you give them? How do you use it? So I've mentioned 3: words of affirmation, quality time, gifts. Then we have act of service. act of service are those that love to what? Thank you for typing that, Sister Khadija. Those are what that love to help you. That the parent will say, let me help you wear it, mommy. Let me help you wear your shoe, mommy. Let me help your sandal
Let
for
me
you. Let me
help
wear
you
your
pull
zip
your
for
zip.
you. Let me pull your zip for you. My son have that. So this thing, we might have our children have a touch of all of them, but there will be one that will be prominent. And it is the way that we help them nurture it that will help them blossom to one. And also, the last one is physical touch. There are children that love to be touched. They want to touch. There are people that will call gun body. And that's not it. That's just their language. That's what they understand as touch. That's one that when they're crying, just a mere hugging them will calm them down. They are the one that want to come to you, just you tapping them by the back, passing them by the back when they are doing something goes a long way to encourage them. So understanding this and how you can speak it to your child is very important. Those that their love language is touch, they're not the one that you'll be slapping back, boos, because it's like you're killing that particular thing in them. This is another session that we are going to add that we have in the TP session. Fortunately, I think this is the month that we're supposed to review that particular book and apply it, but
Yes.
I don't think we're going to have it again because of this particular. But let's see tomorrow holds, or we have it on August 1st. So understanding this particular language will help you to speak to your child in a language that they understand. These are the things that our parents do not understand. If their language is touch, they are slapping you. And they kill that thing in you. And you find it difficult. You find it that when your children touch you, they are coming too close. You are getting angry for no reason because they have killed that thing in you. And our children are still very close to their innate self. They are close to their intuition. They are close to their truth. They don't lie. Children don't lie. They are close to their visceral. They don't lie to you. So the moment you start getting angry, your children will learn to mask themselves. They will kill that trait in themselves just to please you. So that's how our children learn to emulate things that are not true to them. So understanding this will go a long way to help you to understand how to speak to your child. So I hope that this helps you and it helps every one of us to reinforce what we have learned. Jazakumullah khairan for
No.
having us.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much, ma'am. We appreciate it. I think that is all for the questions from the question section. And this makes us come to the end of this session, alhamdulillah. And may
Now,
Allah forgive us for anything that is not in accordance with Islam. And may He put barakah in everything that we said that is going to be beneficial to us in our parenting journey. Ameen. Now,
now,
Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you so much.
Jazakumullah
Zach,
khairan.
Karen, everyone, thanks for the inspiring lectures and advice, and so inspiring. I enjoyed the lectures. Thank you very much. So you can join. You can still join her the annual parenting coaching program for 25,000 naira. So if you are lucky to pay before the August 1st, you can pay 20,000 naira. So you can join this program and learn different parenting skills, hear other people's story, also share your own story, get advice from different people. Yeah, thank you very much.
Jazakumullah khairan for that. You didn't specify that it was actually for the end of this year. If you still want to
Yeah,
join us
yeah,
for the end of
yeah,
this
yeah.
year,
Yes. It's for the end of
for the end
this
of
year.
this
I mean,
year,
starting from August till December. So another program will be starting by January 2023. So you can also join that too. So we'll be expecting you. Thank you very much.
Jazakumullah khairan everyone for joining us. We still have another session again by is it not by 3 p.m. By 3 p.m. So please
By
go and rest. It's almost time for Juma here. Today is Friday. Let's go and prepare for Juma. Let's pray. Let's read our calf and we ask Allah to accept it. So we'll meet again by 3 p.m. Inshallah. The topic is you're bringing one of the best coaches for you. Queen of Awesomeness is coming here to tell us what the best gifts we can give to our children is our own positive parenting what advantage that we can give to our children is a positive parenting advantage, because parenting advantage is something that we cannot overlook. People that are thriving in whatever field they are now, they add some form of advantage over many of us because their parents were intentional, their parents were purposeful in the way they raised them. So for you to create that advantage for your child, you need also to know how to do that. So we are going to hear from her, inshallah, by 3 p.m. Jazakumullah khairan. Go and get ready. By 3 p.m. we'll meet again. Assalamu alaikum to barakatuh. So everyone, I don't know if Sister Habiba still have something to say.
No, I don't have any other thing to say. I look forward to the session by 3 p.m. Inshallah. Now,
Inshallah, may Allah ease our fears till then. Mrs. Akinyele, Jazakumullah khairan for honoring our invites. I really appreciate that you were able to stay to the end of this session. Thank you very much. Okay, Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum salam.